Hey, what's up, y'all? This is William, the Permaculture Consultant, and today we're going to be cruising some back roads to see what trees we can harvest for free. Now, what's cool about these trees is that they're nitrogen-fixing trees, meaning they're also pioneer species. So if you live in an area where it's really hard to grow anything, the benefit of these nitrogen-fixing trees or these pioneer species is that they usually grow in very difficult areas or in areas where the soil is completely denuded of any life. So now we're on this back road. I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera around and we're gonna slowly cruise through this back road, this old gravel road, and see what we can find. So as we're cruising through this road, what I'm looking for is not necessarily specific tree leaves. That's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking for are brown dangling pods. The cool thing about the brown dangling pods is that most of the time they're going to be from a nitrogen fixing tree. Now what's popular around here could be like your mimosas, your red buds, your black locusts, your honey locusts, stuff like that. Oh, what is that? I think if this is a vine, I think it might be trumpet creeper, which I'm pretty sure it is a vine, and it's just vining through this tree. This isn't necessarily what I'm looking for right now, but these pods are definitely ready. Well, almost ready apparently. That's pretty cool. I think it's trumpet creeper, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for vining species of tree right now. If anything, my trees are not ready for a vining species. It is a vining species, okay. Yeah, it is climbing up this tree right here. It's also climbing up that tree right there. So we're gonna keep on going down and see what else we can find. And I should say, that's one of the benefits of looking for brown dangling pods as opposed to like specific leaf shapes. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I'm using what's called pattern recognition. In fact, here's another one right here. I'm using what's called pattern recognition instead of looking for individual identification. Which is one of the tools you learn through permaculture is pattern recognition. And here we got a red bud. Look at this. You can notice it based on the heart-shaped leaves. Now great, they're usually not this dusty, but this is right off of a gravel road. But these pods right here, oh, knocked down a little bit more than I expected. But these pods right here are what contain the seeds. So, one cool thing about the, Eastern red bud, which is the full tree right here. One cool thing about the Eastern red bud is that it sells for a pretty decent amount of money if you pot it and then you let it grow up a little bit and then you plant it. The cool thing about it is that it's super easy to grow. It's a pioneer species, meaning it requires very, very little in reference to like the biological life needed inside the pot or the container. They're very, very easy to grow. Now, not all of these pods are brown just yet. So this is what the pod looks like. And this right here, if you can see it on the thumbprint, that, come on now camera, that's what the seed looks like. I know it's not in focus right now, but they're awesome. Look at all these, like you see all those little brown dots right here? Those are all seed pods. That's more red buds than I will ever need in my lifetime probably. There's even some like low growing, or some lower branches right here that I can harvest from that are super easy. Look at all that. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull a bunch of these off and yeah, so we'll do that. Hi.
You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm harvesting red bud. Oh. Yeah. Such a nice lady. But yeah, one cool thing, like I was saying earlier, one cool thing about these red buds is that they will grow when very few other things can grow in your soil. So a lot of people ask like, hey, why do my trees keep dying and stuff like that? Can't get anything to grow, stuff like that. Well, part of the reason is because you have no soil biology in your soil. You have no life in your soil. One of the benefits of these red buds is that they can immediately start feeding, putting down exudates and sugars into the soil when nothing else is really doing too well. Hence, pioneer species. They're the first ones on the scene, or one of the first ones on the scene. So if I take one of these pods and I crack it open, just like this. I can't believe that lady stopped when I'm wearing a shirt that says compost your enemies. Such a nice lady. Alrighty, there you go. So out of one seed pod, you can see right here, I was able to get 6 seeds out of one seed pod. So that's 6 potential new trees just from a single seed pod. And I've already harvested, I don't know, maybe 100 seed pods real quick, and it took no time at all. So that's awesome. Also, while you're doing this, make sure you look below you to make sure that you're not stepping on any potential snakes, especially if you're on the roadside. That's definitely a possibility. And another thing that's super cool about these red buds is that these weren't planted. So I know that these do super, super well in this area. Does that make sense? Like, these are super local. This is just down the road from the demonstration site, actually. And there was basically no care given to this tree. It just, like, the seed just fell and the tree just came up. And that's exactly the kind of resiliency that I want in my orchard or in my food forest or anything like that. Something that takes very, very little outside care that will still thrive in this environment. And like, for those of you that are concerned that you're just robbing nature in this scenario, you're not. I mean, I'm only getting stuff that's within reach from me. There's all of these pods up there that I can't reach. Also, there's way more red buds in this area than I'm gonna ever notice. And if you are worried about just robbing it from nature, then just think of it this way. Like, you can either do it this way, you can harvest it super local to where you are, or you can spend, what, like 40 bucks on a 3-gallon pot of a red bud, which also, look at the amount of energy that's gone into just planting that one red bud. The nursery bought the red bud, probably at a pretty young age. They put it in the pot. There's a cost that goes into that, just the amendments that go into the pot. And then the amount of time that they spent actually growing the tree, and the amount of water and the movement and the management and all that type of stuff. If you do the energy audit, this is much, much better version of red bud than what you can buy at your nursery. Look at that, just a few minutes. Literally, I've been recording the whole time and it's been 5 minutes. And I got this many red buds already. And that includes the amount of time that it took to talk to the lady that drove by. So, that's freaking awesome. Oh, there's another red bud right over here too. Look at this. So there's one red bud right there. If you walk on down this way, there is another red bud. It's just not as easily accessible to me because it's a little higher up, but you guys hopefully can see that. You can see those little pods right there, and like the lowest one down to me is maybe right here. But if you'll notice also that these pods are a little bit different. These are a little shorter compared to the longer pods in here. Look how short these guys are. Let's see how many seeds are in there. So these pods only have 4 seeds in them, coming from a red bud just down the road from that one. And these pods in here have, like, on average about 6 seeds in them, just from counting them on the outside. So I wonder if there's much of a difference in the viability. I want trees that produce very well, so I'm gonna skip this tree and go on back to my 6-pod tree. Alrighty, so I think that's enough as far as the red bud goes. Now I'm gonna start looking for mimosa and black locust. Now, the black locust I know I can get from the property. And that's in fact probably what I'll do, because I'm on the way to the property right now to go take care of the pigs. And the mimosa, I've noticed that not a whole lot of mimosas on the property that I have at the demonstration site are producing seed pods. I'm not entirely sure why. I do know that mimosas produce seed pods later in life. Oh, there's a mimosa tree right there. No seed pods. So on the way back to the demonstration site, I'm gonna be looking for mimosas with seed pods on them. Look at that, there's another red bud right there. It's like right in the middle of the screen. There's another red bud with pods on them, but those are shorter pods again. In order to do this, I'm still looking for brown or green pods, not necessarily a mimosa tree, because those are gonna be harder to spot than just the brown or green pods. because the ground and green pod leaves don't necessarily stand out in this scenario. Pods stand out because all of this is green. Brown stands out pretty doggone well. Well, there's another mimosa tree, but no pod. And now we're getting into the more managed areas of this road because there's a farm that's visited pretty frequently over there, and then there's also another farm that's visited pretty frequently over on that side. So, yeah, see, there's the entrance. One of the entrances to the farm. There's a bunch of cows down in there. All right, so we went down mostly the length of the entire country road over here. But I know somebody's gonna ask, well, like, hey, why didn't you take the pods from that trumpet creeper? Well, none of the trees that I have right now are mature enough to withstand, or they're just on the verge of being mature enough to withstand a vining species. Oh, there's a mimosa. Nope, no vines. They're just not mature enough to start withstanding like vining species crawling on them. I don't really want to put those trees under that much stress, so they're not serving much of a purpose for me right now. So a quick little internet search showed me that the trumpet creeper was apparently good for scorpion stings and venomous snake bites. Apparently it's a good anti-venom for both of those. So that's good to know. And now I know also a lot of people are probably saying, well, hey, nitrogen fixers also fix nitrogen in the soil. They put nitrogen out of the atmosphere and into the soil. Well, further research recently has shown that that's not entirely the case. Only in specific conditions do nitrogen fixing species actually start fixing nitrogen in the soil. I think the greatest benefit that they have is that they provide exudates in the soil and feed the organisms when nothing else really can survive in a scenario like that. Now I'm back on the property, and first thing I noticed is that there's this mimosa tree right here. And as you can see, there's the pretty little blooms on it right now. But these seeds, apparently this is like one of the few mimosa trees that I have that's actually producing these seed pods. And only a few of them are brown right now, and they're still pretty malleable. So I don't know that they're necessarily ready to harvest just yet. There's a little seed you can see right there. So these guys aren't necessarily ready yet. Oh, there's some over here that are ready. Wow, I can't believe I didn't notice these before. I guess I do have some mimosa trees that are producing seeds, like those guys right there. Downside is that they're way, way up there. But I'll go ahead and maybe I could thin out a branch or something like that. But there's the mimosa trees. There's the mimosa seeds that I can use. As you can see, mimosas are pretty good at growing quickly in the Texas heat and also providing shade underneath these leaves, or underneath the trees, as you can see right here. The pigs quite enjoyed this paddock when they were up here in this section. Also, you can feed the mimosa tree leaves to your ruminants, to your animals and stuff like that. So that's one tree that we will start harvesting. Not all of the pods are ready for the mimosas just yet. And then also the obvious on this property are the black locust seed pods that are ready. These guys right here. Now, I don't know what happened to this tree where all the leaves are gone. Something came through and wiped it out, probably the grasshoppers. So I will instead probably go to a tree with less grasshopper damage, like that guy right there. That one has a far less grasshopper damage. This one right here has far less grasshopper damage. And both of these, all three of these actually, here's another one with less grasshopper damage. All these guys are apparently more resilient to grasshopper damage than that other tree up in the front. So that's another way you can kind of pick which ones you're gonna harvest and which ones you're not. You want the resilient ones. You want the ones that are doing well. You don't want the ones that produce like small seed pods, maybe 1 or 2 seeds at a time. You know it's almost infertile. You also don't want ones that are completely infested by bugs and stuff like that, because you want ones that are also resilient for your area. I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera down, and then we're gonna start harvesting seed pods. Alrighty, so this first one is going to be the mimosa tree. And since everything is so much taller than me right here, what I'm gonna do is get closer to the trunk, and then, oh, all right, that didn't bend as much as I thought it would. There we go. Alrighty. Had to jump on the branch to pull it down. And now I'm just gonna pull off the dry seed pods. Anything that's dry, I'm gonna pull off. And I guess I could try to pull the ones off that are green as well, but try not to, basically. Also, a lot of these, like mesquite tree, so if you're further in West Texas, you could be doing this with mesquite tree as well. And the cool thing about mesquite tree is that you can grind the seeds, the pods or the seeds into a flour, and it's a gluten-free alternative flour that sells for like 15, 14 bucks a pound. So, yeah, if you have mesquite trees, there's a possibility in that. You could also grow mesquite trees for smoking, you know, like meat and stuff like that. That's a possibility, but yeah, a lot of these pods have some awesome value, especially when you look at it at the potential, as far as like the potential it has in growing new trees or providing support for new orchards and stuff. Now, I am particularly fond of Mimosa because it carves decently well, but also it's a super fast growing nitrogen fixer. Like these guys can provide shade for me in this Texas sun pretty doggone quickly. Nurseries are for chumps. Just kidding, I don't mean that. But there are a lot of trees that people buy that you don't necessarily have to buy if you just kind of look around during the right season in your area. Mimosa trees are one of those trees. They're really, really good pioneer species. They do well in the heat, and they do very well with very, very little interaction, which is exactly the types of trees you want in your orchard or your food forest. Sorry, there's a tractor driving by right now, and it's pretty doggone loud. But yeah, this is the exact characteristics that I want in my fruit tree guilds, in my orchards, in my food forest, anything like that. I want minimum care with pretty awesome production, as you can see. So I got my bucket full of mimosas. Check that out. Bam, look at that. So far I got a bucket full of red buds, I got a bucket full of mimosas. Now I just need a bucket full of black locust. Now be careful when you're harvesting your black locust, because if you full on grip the branch of the tree, there's a high likelihood that you grab a thorn. If thorns are something you're concerned about, then one thing you could do is pick the pods off the ones that you see with the least amount of thorns. Now also be careful that some of these pods haven't already dropped their seeds. I noticed that some of these guys are open already. Let's see if I can find one for you. Yeah, like this one right here. This seed pod was already open. It was already cracked open whenever I got to it. But there's still some viable seeds left inside of it, so it's not the end of the world. And if the seeds fall out into the bucket, that's no problem there either. Now, I'm gonna stop harvesting from this one because I've seen some giant thorns on that one, and I don't necessarily need black locust with a ton of heavy, dense thorns. Even though that black locust right there is pretty doggone straight growing. That's awesome. Now here is another one with a ton of little pods, but one of the benefits of this is that all the thorns are very, very small on this guy. So just keep in mind what you would prefer in your trees whenever you're going through and harvesting these guys. You know what I mean? Like maybe the grasshopper damage isn't as big of an issue for you, so you want to focus on, or maybe you're looking for trees that grow very, very straight for future timber and stuff like that. So like, because black locust is really good. It's a very hard wood, very rot resistant and stuff like that. So they're good for, you know, if you have to build any outside posts with it, any outside rails or anything like that. So you might want to, you know, propagate the stuff that has the best, straightest growing grain in it, or the straightest growing trunks and stuff. You also might get one based off pest resistance. Let's say you have a particular pest in your area that is wiping out all the trees everywhere, but you see this one black locust or this one pioneer species that has seeds on it and almost little to no damage. So then that's one that you would want to propagate. It all depends, or let's say you planted another one that grew very, very fast or you noticed one that grew very, very fast in relation to the ones around it. That might be one you want to propagate because maybe you want a faster growing black locust. You can adjust and make decisions, have like a hand in the cultivation of the next generation of trees. just by paying attention to what you want and what you want to grow and what characteristics you want and what characteristics you don't want. Alrighty, so the end results. These right here are the red bud seeds, and I got quite a bit of a bucket full of those guys. This right here are the black locust seeds, and I got quite a few of those guys as well. And then this right here are the mimosa seeds, and you can see these pods are actually quite a bit bigger. And let's see what the seed looks like. They all look pretty similar as far as like seed size and stuff and shape for the most part, but there you go. They're right there on the tip of my finger. That's what the seed looks like. So yeah, hopefully that video was helpful for you guys. Right now I'm looking through this little fig tree right here, see if there's any figs that are ready. But if you need any consultations, then hit up the email down below. If you need a permaculture Q&A answered and you want it on video, then either shoot me an email or the comment section down below with the hashtag permaculture Q&A at the beginning of it, and then it'll be featured in a later video. But hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.